Hello, and welcome to the Trans Agenda, a podcast by Trans Clinique. I'm your host, Nico, and I'm a trans man, and my pronouns are he and they. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be right here talking about the Trans Agenda. In this podcast, we'll delve into the unique challenges and experiences of trans folks, highlighting the voices of those who have lived it themselves. We'll explore issues such as navigating medical and legal systems, finding acceptance within family and community, and combating discrimination and violence. Our guests will share their personal stories and expertise, providing valuable insights and perspectives on this often misunderstood aspect of the human experience. Join us as we strive to educate, inform, and advocate for trans rights and visibility. Hello, and welcome to the Trans Agenda. My name is Nico, and I'm your host, and I'm here with Queen Victoria.
Hi.
So you want to introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what you do?
Sure. My name's Queen Victoria Ortega, and I'm the queen. I rule. That's basically what I do. That's the short answer. But yeah, I do, things here and there. I think we're going to get into some details about them, so yeah.
Yeah, I love it. So tell us about, we're here actually at the Connie and Transgender Empowerment Center. Tell us about your role here and what is the Connie Transgender Empowerment Center?
Well, I have many roles. Apart from my fat roles, I have a lot of work roles. And one of them is I'm the founder and the chief visionary officer for the Transgender Empowerment Center where we're at now. And so my job is to kind of direct where we're going to go next. So right now, picture like we work for trans-led organizations that is free of rent so that trans-led organizations can flourish and focus on something else, but also curated to kind of be the second step in our journeys. For example, after getting our hierarchy of needs met, thinking about if you want to join a chorus or if you want to, create a career in film, if you want to join a group like FLUX that puts together events for community just to raise our profile and, have some fun within our community. So that's what I do here at the Trans Empowerment Center.
So where did this idea come from? Like what you personally, I understand the need in the community. It sounds like an amazing project, but why are you galvanized to do this?
For me, I think that it was I have this saying that I feel that God sometimes pushes us in a direction we should have found for ourselves. Whatever that version of your higher power God is. For me, it's interesting that I found myself in many places in trans history through serendipitously, being in the space. For example, even here with the Connie Trans Empowerment Center, it was very much, there was an opportunity and they were like, here's the building. What do you want to do with it? And I was meeting with a startup in a WeWork, and I said, why not create something like this that is specifically for trans community? And not only that the rooms were named after trans elders and people who've contributed to our movement. And so also inspired our Hall of Heroes that changes and recognizes people that have contributed in some form or fashion to our trans history, so that we also get our flowers, not only, rooms named after us after we're gone, but that people know our name and our historical contributions, because, trans people have been around, we continue to be around, and we will be here. We ain't going anywhere. And not only that, we continue to create. I feel that, I heard this saying the other day that God, it's funny, I don't know what I'm talking about. I think I'm in my age where I'm talking about God a lot today.
I think God's actually come up a lot in
really?
Our interviews. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like spirituality is very important for trans people, but continue.
And it's funny because it really hasn't been for my journey,
okay.
Outwardly. But I heard this saying the other day that made me chuckle, which was, God created wheat but not bread, and created grapes but not wine, and created trans people so that we could experience what it's like to be part of the creative blessing, right? And
I love that.
I love that too. So I think it's part of our heritage, right, as trans people, because we really get to create who we are and be couturiers. That's our gift. And for me to be able to play part in creating the space for other trans people to be able to even create more, whether it's through projects like this, or whether it's through creating art in the chorus, or creating job opportunities to trans kind work, which is also based here. It's just wonderful.
I love the idea of self-creation. I feel like being creative. I remember something unlocked in my brain when I realized that creativity is also for identity. So I wonder, what is your self-creation story?
For me, I was relatively young and was in a family that encouraged critical thinking. So a lot of times my family wouldn't, or my father, I should say, as well as my mother, but mostly my father would always ask, don't tell me what you feel, tell me what you think. So I think that in that process, I was also able to think about things critically at a very young age. Besides the fact that I'm also a Virgo. It is Virgo season right now while we're filming. But
happy belated.
Well, no, my birthday's in
it's coming up? Oh, yes. Okay.
September 15th, people, those of you that are Mexican know El Día del Grito, that's Mexican Independence Day. Yes, I am very about liberation. And I think that is part of the creative process, right? Yeah. My parents were free thinkers, and they encouraged me to think freely and often. And I think that that's part of who we are as well. Like, we critically think about who we are and always know ourselves to such a degree that other human beings don't get that experience. Like, literally, you really have to think about transitioning, how you're going to present, what you're going to put on, what's going to look good, what doesn't look good, what feels good, what doesn't feel good. And I feel that is what was ingrained to me in me as a kid. So that's always been part of who I am. Besides the fact that Virgos are just like that. We're just built that way.
Virgos just know, yeah.
No, we just know. What I gotta say, Mother Virgo, Miss Beyonce. She turns shit out. That's what she does. She creates.
I love that. And a lot of what we've talked about today in my interviews with various trans people is the act of checking in with oneself. And being connected. I think we live in a society that really aims to separate us from our bodies and separate us from our own internal compasses. And trans people are literally a reaction to that, saying, no, this is actually, like, I'm going this way, So, and that's a process, right? So I wonder, what are the moments for you where you could feel your internal compass, like you're coming out, or you're like, oh my God, I'm this,
Well, I think for me in transition, it was when I was 12 and I seen Maury Povich, and I used to have these shows that would never air now, but they were like, is it a man or is it a woman? And this beautiful woman came out. Her name was Mimi Marks, and she's still alive. She used to perform at the Baton in Chicago. I've never had the pleasure of meeting her, but I was just like, wow, oh, that's me. Once she came out and identified as a trans person, and not in a way that was a shame, or more so it was like, I'm a trans woman and this is who I am, and with power. And so it really clicked in me that not only that we are worthy, and I think that word is super important, because many times the world tells us we're not worthy, or tries to enact laws, particularly at this time, or make ways to block the manifestation of our true authentic selves, because it's scary to others, but for us it's not, because like once you know who authentically you are, nobody can take that shit away from you.
Yeah.
And it's unstoppable power in the sense of like, well, I've been through shit already, and not only that, I've literally have had a hand in the creation of who I am, and can even further do that for other human beings. Not only do we contribute to our own trans history, we've contributed to history, period.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because your energy, the way you show up, you're very like, yeah, this is who I am, And so I think that modeling that as a trans person can be really inspiring to other trans people, because you don't classically see that growing up. It is very disempowering narratives. It is very, so thank you for modeling greatness. Are there people for you that modeled greatness? Like, who are your trans heroes? Like, maybe if you could pick 1 to 3 people.
I really gotta say, like, the people that I encounter every day. Like, I get to do global work to go back and tell 16-year-olds, when I was a young princess, before I was a full-fledged queen. You're gonna be doing this work at a global level. I would have been like, you're fucking lying to me. Is is one thing that I've always thought about, and I think in that journey, it's everybody that has really forced me to think of things from a different perspective. Pegging that down to three people, I definitely couldn't leave my parents out.
Yeah.
People of trans experience, I would say Kelly Trombaco, which are one of our conference rooms here at the Connie Norman Trans Empowerment Center, is named after her. Ironically, my life is very parallel to Connie Norman's life. She was, known as the AIDS diva and worked for fighting for access for trans people and all people and with living with HIV disease, which has been about 20 years of my career. She also was one of the first trans people to have a cable access show. I start my cable access show on LA TV this autumn, so it's so ironic that we have like the same trajectory.
That's interesting. Synchronicity.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only difference, she's a white lady and I'm, a brown lady, but we both, I think she also liked to challenge authority, and I think that's part of who I am too. So I would say Kelly Trombaco, definitely. I want to say Connie Norman and Silvia Rivera. I think a lot of the times we forget about Silvia and Marsha P. Johnson, which were together all the time. And I here work with Queen Shayla, my sister, all the time. And I would hate to be like 40, 50, no, maybe not that long, maybe 100 years from now, not be here and people separating Shayla and I would like drive me nuts. So I don't know why we do that now.
Mm-hmm.
That we separate Marsha P. and
do you have any theories of why that is?
I don't know. I think that society has done a really good job of even bleeding in what we didn't have. We didn't have racial divide within the trans community, and now we're seeing it.
Yeah. What do you think needs to happen next in our society for us to advance as trans people?
So one of the things that I did in the beginning of my career, I focused obviously on HIV prevention and treatment services. I started focusing on economic empowerment in 2005, having created one of the first transgender job fairs. And I knew that part of that was our economic empowerment. Now, fast forward to 2023, we have tons of people working in the nonprofit sector. In 2019, I realized we need to own our own businesses, and we need to own our own institutions and look at further than just having financial literacy, but also have financial literacy and wealth management. Mm-hmm. How do we do that? And so to sit here in a building that says clearly the Transgender Empowerment Center is one really telling you where I see the future going, which is we will be creating our own jobs, creating our own institutions, creating our own businesses, like I did in 2019 when I created the Royal Collection Corporation, which is a corporation that now houses, all of my other diversified business lines. And that's what we're going to be doing in the future. Continue to kick ass and create what our ancestors did, just at a different level, in a different, at a different scale.
I love that. And, you do so much. Every time I see you, you're doing something else. And you're working on some project and you're working towards liberation, and I love that. And I also wonder how you keep it going. How do you keep it moving? Like, what do you do to take care of yourself?
What I do to take care of myself is I go to Paris, which is my favorite city. I shop. I'm definitely a shopping addict. I love jewelry, and I have an amazing family. I have an amazing chosen family. Being queen is definitely a challenge. There's definitely a lot of things that duty calls for you to remember that you have to do, like even if I'm tired or not tired. I think most of the time that's why you always see me doing stuff. But I have no regrets because I get to work with such amazing people that doesn't feel like work.
Yeah.
So that's why also I don't get tired, because I just think about like, oh, this pops into my brain. I want to create this. This is the vision. This is what I want to create. And I share it with our community, and those who want to specifically work on that will then coalesce around that. And I think that has been why it's not difficult, because I never do I might be doing a lot of things, but I never do anything by myself. I can't. I don't think it's I don't think it's sustainable.
No.
And it makes for a much more happy journey, like not to journey by yourself.
And that's the thing, is when I see you doing all these things, you're always like pretty happy. You're always just kind of like, so I love that. But, well, thanks so much for coming to the Trans Agenda and sharing some of your story. We didn't get to, I mean, you do so much, but thank you for sharing your narrative. I do want to ask you the question that I ask everybody, which is, what is your trans agenda?
My trans agenda is to create trans wealth and power around the globe and do it in a way that is unapologetic, that is empowering to all.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trans individuals face unique challenges every day. From accessing healthcare to navigating legal systems, it is crucial that we work towards creating a society that is inclusive and supportive of people of all gender identities. This means advocating for policies and practices that prioritize the health and well-being of trans individuals, as well as challenging discriminatory attitudes and behaviors where they exist. By coming together to support and uplift trans voices, we can create a brighter and more equitable future for everyone. Thank you for listening, and let us continue to work towards a world where trans individuals can thrive. Follow us on all social media platforms at Transclinique, and don't forget to like this video and hit the subscribe button.